We are back, boys and girls. Oh, no. We weren't gone for good. You guys thought, oh, those Honolulu Blues guys, they're finally gone. Bam. We're back.
We back.
We back. The trio is back, too. We got all three of us, Nick, Julius, and myself. We are going to have a poppin' great episode for you guys today. And honestly, it's been a minute since all three of us have been on, so it's going to be nice to hear your guys' lovely voices and hear some of your opinions, some takes, because there was a little bit of rumblings in the Detroit news the last couple weeks. Even though we were on bye, so it did seem very quiet, we still did make a little splash, and of course, adding DPJ, which we'll get to a little bit later. But ultimately, Nick, I love the Thanksgiving background. I'll start this off with a question that I don't know if I asked you last episode, but maybe I did. If not, answer it still.
Okay.
When does Christmas music start for you? Is it November 1st or is it after Thanksgiving?
It is as soon as we come home from Halloween. We get done trick-or-treating. Man, we get home from trick-or-treating. This year was a blizzard. We trick-or-treated in a blizzard. We get home. Man, I flip the switch, and it's just like in like any of those like animation shows, and all the walls just like go down and the other walls come up, and it's just Christmas upon Christmas. My whole house is decorated in Christmas. I'll give some love to my snowmen right here. They're with me. We do Christmas music as soon as we get home. So it's home, we're listening to Ghostbusters, then all of a sudden we go right into simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Oh, dude, it's great. So we have done nothing but jamming. If you get in my car right now, it is set to 100.3 WNIC Christmas music all day, every day for the next 2 months. And it's my favorite 2 months of the year. So I'm all about it. Though I had to give some love to Thanksgiving for my background. I don't skip things. Just because I listen to Christmas music doesn't mean I don't care about Thanksgiving. Just give me a Thanksgiving banger and maybe I'll listen to it. There's never been one. So, you know, I love Christmas and I love Thanksgiving. What about you guys?
Julius, how about you?
Yeah. See, I'm not on the Christmas tunes yet. That's more post Thanksgiving, like after Lions like bomb out the Thanksgiving game. Usually I throw on some Christmas music to, cheer up the mood. Hopefully I don't gotta do that this year.
And not this year.
Yep. I can just turn it on just because I want to hear it. But yeah, we usually don't start until about December 1st. And then it runs, through to Martin Luther King Day.
Until MLK Day. I love it. I love that.
All right. Some places, you see people they'll have their Christmas lights on like until Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah. So Easter.
But for me, I'm kind of like a hybrid. There'll be some days some years I should say, where like November 1st, I'm like, all right, it's Christmas. And then there's some years where I'm like, no, we can't skip Thanksgiving. And I will say, part of it, I think, is a little bit tougher on Lions fans because each year we got that Lions game on Thanksgiving. So even if you're not a Thanksgiving, food person like myself, hate Thanksgiving Day food, you still got the Lions in the back of your head where you're like, well, I still got to get through that box check. And once I do, then it is Christmas season. But honestly, it's felt a little more Christmassy than it has the last couple of years.
That's good. I also don't think that listening to Christmas music and getting excited for Christmas, like, again, takes away from Thanksgiving. Like, you can enjoy Thanksgiving while listening to Christmas music because there isn't any Thanksgiving like movies or music other than like Charlie Brown and the Lions. Like, there's nothing that you like sit down and watch on Thanksgiving. Maybe the Macy's Day Parade, like if you're 50 years or older, I guess. I don't know. But there's just not like, it's okay. There's just nothing to celebrate Thanksgiving like for a month leading up. So it's instead of like putting all the Halloween decorations away and then sitting there for a month not doing anything and then putting I'm just like, dude, just take the Halloween stuff down, put the Christmas stuff up. We'll get into the Christmas mode. But again, I love Thanksgiving and I'm not skipping it, but there's just nothing to celebrate for a month. Except for like maybe the Americans taking over, it's actually like a really terrible holiday. Like, we should not celebrate Thanksgiving, in my opinion. I feel like we've talked about this before, but
no, it's a neutral. It has good meaning behind it, a positive message behind it. It does have a shaky history behind it, though. So, let's just enjoy it for the Americanness that it is.
Okay, all right, I'm okay with that.
Agreed. So little news just to break things off from last weekish. Donovan Peoples-Jones is now returning home. As you guys know, Julius especially, Michigan man, so that was cool to bring him back, and a Cass Tech man. Yes, sir. He went to Detroit Cass Tech High School, so he is a homegrown Detroit boy. He's been a Lions fan since he was a little baby boy, had that little Lions picture go viral of him wearing the little Lions jersey, and now DPJ will get an opportunity to. Boys, I legit think he could make a run at Josh Reynolds' spot. Now, I believe Josh Reynolds has light years of chemistry ahead of him, but I think DPJ is the talented player. And if that talent can take over, we're going to see a good accusation for our wide receiver group. But ultimately, Nick, you're the Spartan here. Take us through DPJ and what it means. And if you're, bummed we didn't address the defensive side, because I know a lot of people were a little salty on that.
There was a lot of people a little salty on that, and I had some fun with them on Twitter. Man, I love just zigging when everyone zags. Yeah, I wanted defensive help, but there was a lot of Chase Young. I don't think would have fit who the Lions are. I'm okay with not getting him. The reports coming out after of him just like foregoing certain what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember, but certain plays to get the splash play. He wasn't supposed to do his job. Instead of doing his job, he went and made a splash play, which then resulted in a big play to his side. So there's things like that I just don't think we wanted to deal with. DPJ was not on my radar. I love him. I loved him in Cleveland. I hated him in Michigan, but that's okay. You hate him because he's so good. That's why you don't, you love the Michigan players that suck. You're like, yeah, you can play for Michigan all year long for sure. It's the good guys like JJ McCarthy you don't want playing for him. But he's a very talented wide receiver, and Cleveland didn't utilize him as well. I don't know if I foresee him taking over the Josh Reynolds role, more so the Marvin Jones role, which was our wide receiver 4. And that he's still got utilized. We remember week 1, I believe he had 7 targets, and me and Julius damn near punched a hole in my wall every single time there was a target to him. So targets are going to be there. There's no loss in that. I don't know if he's going to get many targets in LA, but I think what you had mentioned, that the chemistry between Reynolds, I think that's so huge, and I've spoke on it for 2 years now that I just don't see someone stepping in and immediately taking over that role, or not even immediately, but just progressively taking over that role. Though Reynolds hasn't had more than 3 targets in a game over the last 5 or 6 games.
He has been a little quiet. I've noticed that too.
Really, yeah. So that's fair too. We're peppering Amon-Ra. We're giving JMO shots now. We got Jahmyr Gibbs to catch the ball. We know Laporta is going to get his 6-7 targets. There's just not enough passing plays to go around, and that's okay. That's what our team needs to be. Is you get 3 targets, and you better make the most of them. That's why we want JMO to make the most of his. Khalif seems to do that, and if DPJ comes in and gets his 3 targets and catches 2 of them for 25 yards and one of them being a first down, that's huge. That's big. That's what we want. That's more than Antoine Green can help us with. Also, this gives us depth if there's any injuries. I know this is long-winded, but I had a lot to say on DPJ. It gives us a lot of depth too. So if ASB does go down and all hell looks like we're dying over here. I can't even talk this morning. This afternoon. Jesus Christ, it's 1:00. Anyways, that gives us help as opposed to re-signing Tom Kennedy or bringing up Antoine Green. So I really like the DPJ trade. I'm okay with not getting defense. I trust our defense. As long as we don't play Lamar Jackson every game, we will be fine. Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in the NFC that scares me. I guess maybe Geno too. But Brock Purdy doesn't scare me. We will be all over him. It will be such an upset win when we play San Francisco in the playoffs. Philly will be tough. So that's kind of what you wanted to defense. But if we were going to go defense, I told you, Adam, a few weeks ago, it was cornerback who I wanted. I am a little upset. I would have traded a first and a second for Pat Surtain. I just really would have, because if Sutton goes down, Jerry Jacobs and Will Harris will be our 2 cornerbacks. And that is nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I will say real quick, Julius, before you hop in, DPJ, one of the main reasons I think we brought him in is because JMO was lacking catches. DPJ catches everything. You throw that ball up left shoulder, right shoulder, at his feet, he is 9 times out of 10 making a spectacular catch and bringing the football down. Now in Cleveland, he just didn't get the opportunity, which was so bizarre because they didn't really ever have, a true number two. They had their number ones in OBJ and Amari Cooper, but then, they went out and traded for Elijah Moore. They drafted Cedric Tillman, pretty much kicked them to the curb. And they did, get a whole new, regime, quarterback system, all that. So it kind of does make a little sense, but I do love that Brad Holmes sniffed that out, found a local boy to bring back home. And I think maybe not in the first couple weeks, but come playoff time, come when we play the Cowboys and we need him to come up big, DPJ is going to be there for us. And Nick, you're exactly right too on the injuries. Our wide receivers just seem to always get, nicked up, banged up, like missing 1 to 2 games ish, nothing severe, but they're always, sick, bruised, turf toe, whatever, blisters. So if that does happen, I want to be able to have 3 number 2s in Khalif and Reynolds and DPJ out there to mask our number 1 Amon-Ra, who might be missing. And if we do lose Josh Reynolds, then we get, DPJ to fill in that number 2. So all in all, I like it. And I'm just happy we made a move. If we sat and did nothing, then I would have been like a little bad, but we did something. And Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, it's not like they forgot how to do their jobs overnight. So they clearly have a plan in place, and those dudes are geniuses. So I trust them. So DPJ, 2 thumbs up.
Nick, you mentioned meeting up with San Francisco in the playoffs. I'm not so sure that might happen. I've been calling Brock Purdy a fraud since he was at Iowa State. So fraud. And I wouldn't be surprised if it all just comes burning down. But besides that point, DPJ, love the move. Low risk, high reward. Like you said, Adam, Brad Holmes didn't do nothing, but they also didn't sell like they've been doing the last couple seasons. So I'm pretty happy with the move. He's a productive receiver. This is the first season in like 3 years that he's kind of been like underutilized. And I think it's because of the dysfunction behind Deshaun Watson and everything that's going on in Cleveland. That offense, they have a great offensive line. They have a great offensive game plan. However, their passing game is subpar. So DPJ from the D, an East Side boy from Cass Tech. I'm sure he's happy to be home. I'm sure his people happy that he's home. It's like a soldier coming home from war almost. Happy Veterans Day. DPJ, welcome back. You know what I'm saying? Wide receiver 4, that was a great point you made about Marvin Jones and how he almost punched a hole through the wall like the Hulk, because it makes me mad even thinking back. But I much rather see what DPJ does with those targets than our good friend Marv. Bless his heart. Many great moments with the Lions, but I'm very excited. I think it's, like I said, low risk, high reward. He could have some big games for Detroit. Going under the radar. You never know what an injury pop off. I like the move a lot.
Agreed. And I'm glad we're, all on the same page of where it's like, we didn't get a defensive, And real quick to touch on those 2 defensive ends that, Washington sent out, Sweat and Chase Young, not Claypool, but ultimately, Sweat. Yeah, I would have liked a second rounder. Might have been a little too rich, I will say. I find it hilarious that the Bears essentially had to pay or had to give up a second rounder for a free agent to come to Chicago, because they're already a busted team. So why not just offer him the bag at free agency? They obviously weren't confident that he would still come. So Bears.
I think he literally came out and said too that he wasn't going to re-sign with them either. He was like, "We're going to just see how everything goes at first." Like, Chicago, what are you doing, dude?
And you kind of knew that he just had to re-sign, because it was like, what that move they made would have been so stupid, which I could see the Bears making. But
wait, did he end up re-signing? Did he end up signing?
He he got a mega extension.
Oh, I missed that. I apologize. Last I knew was that he said he didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, he got a 4-year, I think like $95 million, 72 guaranteed.
Okay.
It was a lot of guaranteed money. So if he doesn't perform to how he has been in these last 2 years, that it's a massive overpay. And I think that's what the Lions were kind of, cautious about, because obviously if we bring in these 2 guys, it's either we let them walk or we pay them. And with some of our other studs like Penny, Amon-Ra, Aleem, honestly, those guys need new deals, and we want to make sure we got the money for them right then and there to say, no, don't even think about the market. You're staying here with us. So I like the move ultimately.
Yeah, that does bring up a little bit too of a point of why we didn't go defenders, is because we have so much money to be spent over the next 2-3 years that I don't think we are trying to spend a lot of money on guys that we aren't like 100% sure on, that aren't homegrown, that we didn't draft, that don't fit our culture, that we're bringing in hoping to fit our culture. Like on a draft, when you draft someone, you get 3-4 years to see if they fit into the culture, rather than trading for someone who you now have 7-8 games to figure out if they fit into your culture or not. It's not realistic. Like, we're not going to spend that money on. We're going to spend that money on our boys that we've written drafted, like the James Houston, who will be a free agent this year, or Jonah Jackson, who will be a free agent this year, like the CJ who obviously isn't homegrown, but at least we know that he fits our culture and, like, you know, embraces our culture, you know? So, I mean, there's guys that we would rather address with our money, I think, than Montez Sweat or Chase Young.
And not to mention, the Lions are starting to get healthier too. As a lot of you might have noticed, we're getting the boys back. Jonah Jackson's back. Dave Montgomery's back. Frank Ragnow's back. We are fully healthy and good to go. There was the announcement that Glasgow was going to be getting the start at, I think, left or right guard. One of the guard. Right guard. Okay. Right guard. And
he's won the job.
Yep.
Yeah. And honestly, he's been phenomenal. It's kind of interesting because Big V, when he kind of came to the spotlight, that was how he came to the spotlight, as like a sixth man on the offensive line. He was very good, could be a starter for the Eagles, but just kind of rotated in for injuries. And now it's kind of where he is with the Lions. And I like it. It's pressure off of his shoulders. He knows he doesn't have to, you know, be prepared to perform the best. He can just, you know, kind of sit back and expect to, you know, be out there, but doesn't need to be. So ultimately, Lions are getting healthier. Montgomery is back. That's huge. And I do think the health of the Lions played a little role too. And also, Aleem McNeil becoming an absolute bowling ball wrecker definitely played a role. It's just the Lions were slowly getting better. It's unlikely that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will come back week 10, but the window is opened for week 10, which I think is this week, and James Houston as well. So they are still could come back at any time technically, but it probably won't be any time. But I do think both will be back before that Ford Field playoff game. So all in all, good news for the Lions.
Just had a pick 6 by Baltimore, the guy who went right after Jameson Williams. Can we name him?
Hamilton?
Yeah.
Was it
Kyle
really?
Hamilton, safety for the Ravens, pick 6, second pick of the year.
Getting mocked to the Lions so much that year too.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have Kyle Hamilton, honestly, but I just wanted to bring it up because it has some kind, you know, like for me, I live in the era of, like, we drafted Terry Fair, the very next pick, Randy Moss. You know what I mean? We drafted Charles Rogers, the very next pick was some dude that was really good. I can't remember who he was right now. Joe Thomas, I think.
Ebron, Aaron Donald.
Anquan Bolden was
Eric. Oh, was Ant Bolden? Anyways, Ebron, Aaron Donald, OBJ a few after. Like, it's always the picks right after. So just to keep adding to it, Kyle Hamilton with pick 6. Anyways.
Yeah, don't worry. J-Mo's gonna have a career game, gonna bust out. And also, speaking of J-Mo, DPJ kind of, you know, it's got to mean something to him. And hopefully J-Mo takes this as a shit. I better start getting my stuff together because this team is starting to lose faith in me. I know I've dropped some passes, but I also know what my talent is. And if I put that, you know, to the max extent, there could be something there. And so we did see, and I don't know if it was just part of, you know, the Lions kind of just leaking tapes or whatever, but I never really saw any of those J-Mo like running those intense routes and practices in Allen Park. And now we're seeing video of him, you know, going through the reps, doing it as opposed to just kind of like assuming he was. So I just think more reps. J-Mo, just be a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. Don't be J-Mo. When your name's called, just make the catch, make the easy 10-yard simple play, whatever you got to do, but earn those reps. You're not going to be getting those design jet sweeps, hippity-hoo-ha, deep passes. He's going to have to earn that. And I think J-Mo is just slowly going to get a couple plays here and there, and it's going to be up to him if he makes the most out of it and wants to earn some more play time. So What are we thinking about JMO, boys? How on a meter of 1 to 10, start with you, Julius. How much concern do you have for JMO just as a Lion for the rest of his career?
1 to 10, 10 being the highest.
Most concern.
I would say 6, 6.5. I feel like he's a hope and a prayer at this point, because you can see that he has the talent to be a good player. However, you can also see that there's something holding him back from becoming that player. And some players are just like that, that they have obvious talent, but it doesn't equate on the field. So hopefully it equates. I feel like it can equate at any moment. I mean, I don't know what has to happen. He just has to gain Jared Goff's trust by not dropping the football. If we see a JMO target, and honestly, if I see one more drop, like if I see a drop in this Chargers game, that concern goes to 7.5. Because I'm just about done with the drops. That if you can't, it don't matter how fast you are, you ain't got the ball in your hands. You know what I'm saying? So JMO, it's starting to heat up here. We've been waiting. We got the suspensions and the injuries. I understand, but you can see his talent, but you can also see that it's not fully coming together on the field. Some players just have that weakness about them. I can name a few, but I won't. But it just hopefully JMO something like comes into fruition, like he has the epiphany, like out on the field mid game and just goes off. All it takes is one crazy game. I'm talking about like 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, something that like Tyreek Hill would do. Just
And the
one
good
game.
news is the Lions play a lot of poor secondaries. So he's going to have a lot of, opportunities where the Lions could very well be in a blowout game. We still play the Packers again, Vikings twice, Bears twice. That's 5 horrible defenses. And then on top of that, we get the Broncos, where what happened to the Broncos? They let up 70 points to not, the exact same offense, but a similar. And a Miami, Nick, you're making a face, but we got, Gibbs to Mostert, Amon-Ra to, Tyreek. They're different weapons and obviously a lot more faster and upbeat, but it's like the Lions have weapons. So, we go toe for toe with Miami with, I guess, weapons essentially, but they got the speed. So I do think we could see JMO have a breakout game in a blowout, like a second half where it's just, doing dink and dunk plays, and then he just turns the corner and flips the switch. But Julius, you made an excellent point of where all Lions fans, in the beginning, it was, one drop, no big. He'll get another one. Now we're at the point of where another drop takes our meter from a 6.5 to a 7 to maybe even a 7.5. Each drop now matters like 3 times as much as it did 2 games ago. So I'm at about a 6.5 too.
I'm at a 0, and this is why. I'm not concerned, because I don't concern myself with Jameson Williams anymore. Jameson Williams is not a first-round talent. Jameson Williams is not a wide receiver 1. Jameson Williams is barely a wide receiver 2. He's on pace this year for like 12 catches and 125 yards or something like that. Like this just isn't. What are we doing? Why are we spend too much time with James Williams because he was the number 1 draft pick? Man, we've had failure draft picks after failure draft picks. You know what wasn't a failure draft pick? Was Aiden Hutchinson in this draft. Yeah, we traded up to get JMO thinking that he could make the splash, and that's what B. Holmes is going to do. He's going to try to get some players that'll make the splashes, that'll fit well. And JMO just doesn't fit with Jared Goff. Do I think Jameson Williams is a bad player? Kind of. But I think it's really bad when it's paired with Jared Goff. I just don't think they fit. I don't think it's there. He had a good throw to him. He made a good catch 2 weeks ago, last game, over the middle for a first down. It was great. And that's kind of what I expect out of him. Give me 3 targets a game. 1 deep one, 1 middle one, 1 short one. Yeah, if he can break those 3 and do a Randy Moss 3 catches for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns, then maybe I'll start to be concerned with these drops. But right now, he's not. He's just not a good wide receiver. It's okay. We went and added DPJ. We have Josh Reynolds. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown. We have Sam Laporta. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. We have all these pass catchers that are talented. Let J-Mo just be a decoy. He will always take safety's eyes. He will always burn the cornerbacks. It is great. And then the 3 targets that he gets, hopefully he catches 2 of them. If he drops all 3 of them, I'll be like, okay, let's just give him 2 targets next week. I don't know. Like, I'm not concerning myself with a player that's not even a 5th option on our passing core. Like, I would pass to 5 other players before I even looked at Jamison Williams. And that might include Penei Sewell. I'm pretty sure Penei Sewell is 1 for 1 in completion or in reception percentage. So I don't really see why we're trying to make Jamison Williams something that he isn't. Unfortunately, believe me, I want it more than anything, but I'm done concerning myself with it and giving myself more gray hair. And this is an amazing Lions season that we're in the midst of. We cannot think about the negatives, and Jamison Williams is nothing but a negative except for 1 catch every 8 games. So when that catch comes down the back half of the season, I'll be very happy. Other than that, I'll be looking for the targets to go to Khalif Raymond over Jamison Williams, which is fucking crazy, but it's what I want.
You make so that is crazy, man. Imagine saying that last year. I want Khalif Raymond to out target you.
I do. I want that. I hope that Khalif has more targets every single game moving forward than J-Mo.
And the crazy part is we'd be in a completely different situation of like, oh no, we need J-Mo. We need J-Mo. We need J-Mo. If Brett Holmes doesn't find a gem of Amon-Ra in the 4th round and doesn't get probably the best steal offensive weapon of the draft in the 2nd round in Sam Laporta. If you take those 2 guys away, we are praying, we are begging J-Mo to do something. But thankfully, we have one of the best, probably the best GM in the NFL, I'll say it. So we don't have to worry about that. J-Mo can be a 0. If he does something good, cool. If not, we don't need it because we're set elsewhere. So honestly, both you guys make some good points. And if J-Mo does, flip the switch, then that's awesome. But if he's a true bust, then that's completely okay because we have an amazing GM that makes up for all of it and has made up for it. So moving forward, it's all right if Brett Holmes has a couple swings and misses. He's got dozens of hits that make up for it. But ultimately, it does stink a little bit because, there was a lot of players around there that we could have wanted. But in the end of the day, we're Lions fans. We're not drafting the perfect player every single round. We're going to have misses. It's going to happen. And not just Lions fans, it's every NFL team. And hindsight is always 20/20, and you'll always be able to, we should have took him. But Brad Holmes, I just want him to stick to his strategy. I hope this J-Mo miss potentially doesn't, mess up his draft strategy for the future years. And I just hope Brad stays to what he's doing. But ultimately, don't really need J-Mo right now. And I think we're going to see it today against the Chargers. I think we're going to see a big ol' Amon-Ra game. And I think Monty is going to return with a vengeance, calling a 2-touchdown Monty game. Kind of want to say he'll be our MVP. But I think the MVP is going to be someone on the defensive side, someone who's been a little bit quieter lately. That's Aiden Hutchinson. He is going to get to the quarterback. He's going to get at least 1 sack and at least 1 tackle for loss, not a clean sack. So if it's, a running back in the backfield or whatever. But ultimately, I think Hutch breaks out. I think he not breaks out, but has a breakout game and takes over, becoming the MVP for the Lions game. The spread has swung a little bit. It opened at -1. It's back to -2.5, I believe, in Lions' favor. So ultimately, Julius, give me the 3 keys to win this game and how we get this done.
My 3 keys to the Chargers, who are a very tricky team. Some could say you could see this as a trap game. They have various copious amounts of talent sprinkled offensively and defensively on the field that could do damage to the Lions. However, I believe Dan Campbell when he said that they turned the corner after the Ravens game and they not coming in soft for nobody. So my number 1 key to the game is start hard. First half, second half, first quarter, third quarter, fast starts, strong starts. Don't come out soft. Don't come out thinking the Chargers are trash. Just straight grit, Detroit grit. But the beginning of the game, the beginning of both halves, especially, I'm very confident in the Lions finishing games, but they need to start pretty quickly. They can't have these slow starts, especially offensively, in the first quarter and the third quarter. My second key to the game is, like you mentioned, Adam, Aiden Hutchinson needs to go off for sacks. I mean, I'm cool with him having 15 pressures a game, but we really need to hit Justin Herbert in order to win this game. We can't let Herbert, with his talented cannon of an arm, it's almost Matt Stafford 2013-ish. We just can't let him sit back and throw it because he's going to hit. He's going to hit Keenan Allen. He's going to hit Gerald Everett. He's going to hit Austin Eckler, and we're going to be toast. We got to put pressure on Herbert. Lastly, but not least, is the secondary. Our secondary is still not, I would say that out of all the position groups on the Lions right now, the Lions secondary will be the last group to fully prove itself. Okay, we all talk of Sutton Island and we Jerry Jacobs Seatbelt gang, but I know we all kind of twisted in the stomach just thinking about just the Lions having one of those just leakage games where they're not getting to Herbert and Herbert throws for 400 yards, and it's going to be horrible to watch. Our secondary has to lock down. Our safeties have to be in the right communication and the standards. Hopefully, I worry about Will Harris. Who mentioned Will Harris earlier in the show? Is that you, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I'm seeing Brian Branch continue to make his run for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and that secondary is tight. I really don't want to see a secondary leakage game. It's kind of scary, but they still got to prove themselves. So that's my last key to the game. You mentioned the MVP, Adam, peak performer. I like to call it. For me, that's going to be Jared Goff, our captain, our leader. I'm looking for him to push us to the playoffs strong. Jared Goff is my MVP for this game.
Love it.
Do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, jump in, Nick. Let's.
Okay. 3 keys to victory. Trying to get my flag up here. There's 2 position groups. I guess 3 position groups. Number one is the quarterback. This quarterback position is Jared Goff. Dude is not good on the road. He's 3-1 this year. That's great. He's thrown 4 touchdowns and 2 picks in 4 games. He's got a 65 completion percentage, an 88 quarterback rating, as opposed to 106.5 at home quarterback rating. Double the amount of touchdowns at home than on the road. He's not great on the road, but this is LA. This is SoFi. This is back home for you. I almost don't consider this a road game for Goff because he's played so many years at this stadium, right? He opened up SoFi. For a few years, he was there. Went to the Super Bowl with a team that played in SoFi. I need him to be better than 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 180 yards. Like he's got to be better than that. So number one key to victory is Jared freaking Goff. However, let's go to the people that protect him. That's the second key to victory, and that's our offensive line. If our offensive line, which is healthy now with Ragnow back, with Jackson back, I don't think we're going to be able to run the ball that well. The Chargers have one of the better running defenses. Only 4 touchdowns allowed in 8 games on the ground. They've only allowed 580 rushing yards through 8 games, I believe is what it is. That's like they're good run defense. However, their pass defense is absurdly bad. So you need to give Jared Goff time, and he can pick apart these guys. So before I get to my third key, I'll jump to the peak performer, and this leads into Amon-Ra St. Brown. He needs to be special today. He needs to have 100 yards for the 5th straight game, which would right now with 4 straight games is like some record for the Lions. I don't remember what it is. It seems like
most 100-yard games since Golden Tate in 2014, I believe.
Thank you. I was like, I know Kelvin's probably had that, but anyways, so consecutively, right? Exactly. And so let's get 5. Let's get 5 in a row. This Chargers defense on the secondary, who just traded away J.C. Jackson because he didn't even want to play football anymore. They trade him away for a 6th-round pick. Like their secondary is depleted, but they have Khalil Mack. They have Joey Bosa. Thank you. They have the rookie who's doing really well, Tui Loboto or whatever his name is. I don't know how you say it, but we'll learn it today because he's going to be all over. We were going to find out. So the offensive line has to be key, not because I expect David Montgomery to have 100 rushing yards. And I would oppose to Adams 2 touchdowns from Montgomery. I bet he has 1 because we get inside the 5, but I don't think it's going to be the biggest Monty or Gibbs day. I think this is going to be a big Goff to ASB to Laporta day. And I do think JMO has an opportunity here to really make me eat my words, make me eat crow. You know what I mean? Show me that I'm a fucking dumbass and don't know anything about the Lions and go out there and catch 7 balls for 112 yards in the tee. That would be great. The third key to victory, though, is going to be our linebacker position. That is Anzalone. That is Jack Campbell. That is Derek Barnes. And that is Rodrigo. These guys are going to have the horrible duty of trying to cover Austin Eckler, who at 31 years old still runs fucking prime. He is very fast. He is very good. We heard him talk good about Gibbs. We know that he loves Gibbs. I think he's going to want to put on a show for his boy across the sideline, Jahmyr Gibbs. So I don't think Eckler gets over his, I believe, 49.5 rushing yards, but this is why I think the linebackers are huge, because you're going to have to cover them. And you're not going to have Branch and Walker and Kirby on these guys. You are going to have Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone, who have played well, who have played very well. There's nothing wrong, but I'm just saying that this is the game that you need to continue to play well and keep stepping up. This is huge. Austin Eckler, you know Sutton's going to be right on Keenan Allen like fly on shit. He's going to have a few catches because it's Keenan Allen, but Sutton's going to be right there. Jacobs is going to be all over. Quentin Johnston, who has like averaged 1.5 catches per game. Like they don't have anyone but Keenan Allen, their tight end Gerald Everett or Donald Parham, and then Austin Eckler. That's how they win games. And as someone said, I can't remember, I think it was Julius, maybe it was Adam, if you give Herbert time, he will find these guys. But if you get pressure, he's going to have to dump off. Now, yes, I want whoever's key it was to get pressure on Herbert, but I think even more important is that get that pressure on Herbert, but then key in on that Austin Eckler, the dump down, the Gerald Everett, the dump down. These guys are going to catch the ball and be heavily targeted. It's on Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell to continue to play up to snuff and beat them. So those are my 3 keys. To recap, Jared Goff, number 1, our offensive line, not for our rushing, for sure, hopefully help our rushing, but to keep Jared Goff upright, and then our linebackers to continue to contain Austin Eckler, who I think is their biggest weapon.
Yeah, I agree, Nick. It's going to be a check down game. I think we're going to see Eckler get anywhere from 5 to like 8 catches. It's just going to be Herbert looking in the backfield, Keenan locked up, garbage wide receiver, check down to my running back. Exactly. And the good news is Jerry Jacobs has been looking phenomenal against solid wide receiver 2s lately. He shut down Jacoby Myers 2 weeks ago, and now he's taking on Quentin Johnson, a rookie that still has not found his stride. Granted, he was a first rounder and has some speed, so it's good that we have like maybe a veteran in Jerry Jacobs, I don't know, an experienced cornerback in Jerry Jacobs to cover him. So I think Jacobs is going to get it done. The secondary should be able to hold it down, but I think Herbert is going to get his fair share just because he's going to be throwing it nonstop. We're going to be holding Eckler to no more than like 5-yard gains at most. It's going to be a lot of 1 to 2 yarder, little just run into the pile. Aleem just swallows him up and makes the play. So right with you, Nick. I think this game will be won in the air. I do think we're going to see 2 goal line TDs from Monty. I think we're going to see the old classic Amon-Ra falling down at like the 4 or 5 yard line, and we're going to give it to our old boy Blue, pound it on in there, and Monty. It's going to be a MVP, hopefully. But let's get some score predictions. Julius, start with you first.
So I think this might be somewhat of a shootout. However, I am counting on Lions pass rush to show up. There's been times this season that they ghosted us, like Seattle. Like they didn't really ghost us in Seattle, but they let Geno Smith just totally mastermind the pocket to the point where we couldn't exploit 2 backup tackles. Now, I'm not saying that the Chargers are in that kind of situation. However, if the Lions somehow don't get pressure, which is all possible, guys, this could be like a 30-30 game going into the 4th quarter. Because I feel like the Lions offensive line also has a good matchup protecting Jared Goff in this game. So I feel like the Lions are going to score some points. My final score prediction, I'm going with the Lions. 34, Chargers 27.
All right. So before I jump into mine, I'll go over our May predictions. At this time in life, I had predicted us being 6-2. Adam had a 7-1, and Julius had a 6-2. We're all pretty fucking close. Adam, you had one extra hype. You had us losing to Baltimore, but beating Seattle. I had us losing to Kansas City and Green Bay. I was wrong on both of them. Julius had us losing to Baltimore and Kansas City, 1-1. So we went into this week. Julius, you predicted the Lions to win 24-20 to go to 7-2. Adam, you predicted the Chargers to win, to drop us to 7-2. You got a 27-17 game back in May. And I slammed the table and called for a fucking tie because you got to be wild sometimes. I don't know. And I kind of want to stick with my tie, truly. If we were keeping track of like our actual stat or like our actual predictions before the game, you know what I mean? And seeing like winner took the other bought or the other two bought the winner like lunch or something, right? If we were keeping track of it, I would probably predict the Chargers win here. I'm very nervous about this game. I'm a Lions homer, and I will explain why I think we can win this game. But realistically, I'm very nervous. And if we were keeping track, I would probably bet the Chargers. But we're not keeping track. So let's go Lions. I'm going to go Lions victory 27-24. I think it'll be 24-24. We have the ball with the final minute and a half to go. We get down to the 30, and Riley Patterson is the hero to win this game by a field goal. I don't think it's going to be that super high scoring just because we're on the road. But last time I said that, we went and put like a good amount of points up. Oh, it was Green Bay. I think I would have said that against. And then Tampa Bay, we were kind of stifled. We still scored points. Our defense played really well. I honestly think I'm giving the Chargers too many points. I'm going to actually change my opinion after I talk this through. I'm going to go 20-17 Lions. Still game-winning field goal by Riley Patterson. Go Lions.
I like it. I like it. I think it'll be a shootout too. I think we're going to get into a good old-fashioned Herbert Goff shootout. One thing also I'm very curious to see, as you guys know, the Chargers don't really have a whole lot of fans. So each game the Chargers play a home game, it's usually about like 30 to 40% opponent fans. Well, the Lions have been putting that up at Arrowhead, at Baltimore Stadium, at all the big stadiums. Mm-hmm. Lambeau, yes. So honestly, I think we will see a home crowd advantage where it's Herbert will make a bad play and you'll hear cheers. And it'll be one of those weird, like, that's odd. The home team's, not has the fans behind them, but that's just how it is with Chargers. So I know Lions fans, they travel in herds, so I definitely think they will show up. But I think they're going to get to see a good old high-scoring shootout. I like a 27 to... You're right, Nick. I don't want to give the Chargers too many points because they've been a little weakish as of last, couple weeks. But ultimately, they had scored 20-plus points. They had a record going. It was like 13 straight or something. And then it busted against a few weeks ago. But ultimately, they've been known to score right around 20. So I will go 20-27 Lions. Actually, got to change that. Got to root for the over-under is 48.5. So I'm going to go...
That's fair.
31-20. Because I know Dan Campbell's not going to, field goal. Actually, he might, because he has before. We did it. I think the Raiders game, we field goaled him to death.
Yeah.
So
Dan Campbell's learning.
31-20. Final score.
That's fine.
Lions cover. Lions get the over as well. But boys and girls, any final last comments about this game we want to talk about, or are we ready to go enjoy some football and get ready for the boys?
I don't want to comment on this game, but I do want to comment on Detroit Tigers, who had a great signing for their play-by-play game. If you're not familiar, they got, I don't even know his name, Jason Bettinetti, I think is his name. Benetti. Former Chicago White Sox announcer, also does a lot of national games. He did the Michigan-Nebraska game, football game not too long ago. just a great thing. And it wasn't Bally Sports who went and hired him. It was Chris Illage, who shows that he cares about this team, which I love, because that was always the question and doubt was, does Chris Illage want to spend money for this team, or does he just want to enjoy any kind of revenue that he gets for the shitty product that he puts out there? It seems like he is trying, and I like this. Even though this isn't on the field, this is off the field, I still like this signing, and it should be way better than fucking Matt Shepard and Kurt Gibson, who are the worst two announcers I've ever heard do any sports game of all time. It was garbage. It was terrible. I hate him. I love Kirk. But he should never be in the press box. Same with Matt Shepard. So way to go, Tigers. But also go Lions.
Hey,
yeah,
go Wings.
Go ahead, Julius.
No, go Wings. They need to keep pushing, stay steady, because the Pistons piss me off.
Fucking Stones.
I'm such a Pistons fan, and if you're a Pistons fan at heart, it's just so shitty, so long.
First half monsters.
Jalen Duren and getting his ankle hurt right after he's starting to explode. It's just.
But Asor looks amazing. Thompson looks great, and Sasser looks good. Like, so we're still building. And right now, our second best shooter is Beef Stew. Like, we just need Bojan back from injury. We need Ivy to not be sick. We need these guys to come. Morris to come off. Monty Morris. Thank you. We need these guys to come back. So I'm telling you, the Pistons are coming. I know it looks bad right now. We knew it was going to be a bad 4 weeks without Bojan, without Burks, but they're coming back. But go Wings. They need to keep it up, like you said.
Yeah, agreed. I think it goes Lions, Wings, Tigers, Red Wing, or Tigers, Pistons, maybe. Tigers Pistons are kind of hand in hand. Where I do think the Pistons can turn around, just because they've shown in the first half they looked good against the 76ers, were dominating them, and then all of a sudden second half flips around and we just crumble. So we got it. But back to your Tigers, Nick, Jason Benetti. If you don't know who this guy is, the first time you hear him, you'll recognize his voice, and that alone is enough to be like, we got a good one. And he is a guy that. It's weird because he grew up a White Sox fan, was the White Sox commentator, and now he's come to Detroit. So it's either A, the Lions offered him a boatload of money, which was probably true, but B, he in his press conference, or one of his interviews he did with Brad Glayley and a couple other Detroit reporters, he said he likes, or he's seen what the Tigers are and what they can build to, and he's essentially said that with, the right pieces, with the right voice, they could be, an exciting team. And this signing isn't so much for the team, it's the fans. Now we get to enjoy it the most. The players don't even hear this guy. They might even know who this guy is. But us fans, to hear a torque bomb, I cannot wait to have some actual enthusiasm.
Yes.
It'll be good.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. Parker Meadows stealing base, Riley Green doing a diving catch. Like, it's all going to be just so much more fun rather than Matt Shepard and Kurt Gibson. So, way to go, Tigers. But the Lions need to come out and get this fucking W today. Let's go.
Get the dub.
Julius, you're going to be awake for it?
I'm going to be awake. It's going to run from 10 p.m. to 1 p.m. my time, and I'm going to be there for the whole thing. And
yeah. A lot of tweeting coming out. If you don't follow us on Twitter, make sure you are following, because
go Blue.
Go
Ohio, we coming.
Oh my God, is that next week?
2 weeks.
No, that's in 2 weeks.
Okay. We got Maryland next week.
So
that should be.
I'm just joking.
Sleep on Tua, baby brother.
Oh yeah, that's true. How'd they do against Penn State? They whoop ass.
Yeah,
Michigan.
They didn't pass the ball once the second half. We finished 32 straight runs.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's JJ supposed to win Heisman like that, guys?
Here's the crazy part. 2 weeks ago, JJ was the favorite to win Heisman. Yeah. Guess what his odds are right now?
I don't know. Plus 500.
Plus 10,000. Which it makes sense, but it's crazy how those numbers swung so fast. And granted, he's more of a facilitator right now, but JJ not going to win Heisman, unfortunately, but hopefully he brings home a natty for the boys, because
bold prediction right here. November 12th, JJ McCarthy will be the number 1 overall draft pick over Caleb Williams.
I hope so. I already got my bet placed, plus 8,000.
Right, dude, good bet. That's gonna hit, dude. I promise you. I'm telling you right this second, dude. I'm telling you.
little side Michigan tangent. We always see weird shit in the NFL. Granted, Caleb's like the consensus one, and we've seen, but there's been guys over the years like Baker kind of came out of nowhere. Zach Wilson, in a sense, didn't make it to 1, but if Trevor Lawrence wasn't in that draft, Zach Wilson probably would have went 1 overall. So another similar guy. Not saying JJ is going to end up like that, but I think, there's a sneaky avenue where Caleb just performs bad at his combine or whatever. JJ is just like, I don't miss throws, And also, Caleb is coming from an air raid offense as opposed to JJ, who's running a more NFL style offense. So Caleb's going to have to adjust a little more and might have something to worry about. But ultimately, done talk about Michigan. It's Lions, baby. Go Lions, Lions, Lions. Follow us on Twitter, HonoluluBlues _. Julius on Twitter at the 5th top. Nick at Nick Faber NFL. Myself at Everyday FFB. As always, boys.